Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So this is my first video on YouTube. Here I'm sharing my view of IDBI JAM. I'm from Karnataka, so I'll be sharing my brief interview experience, how I prepared for it and how the interview went. So coming to the interview experience, it was all good. So it was all good. So the questions that I was asked was, I'm from Karnataka, so my interview was in Bengaluru. First thing, we had an DV where the all the documents were verified first, and the domicile certificate was compulsory for us. There were 6 candidates whose candidature was cancelled only because the domicile was not there. Even I did not have a domicile certificate, but I had a resident certificate. I provided that as because I did not study Kannada anywhere in 10th or 12th, so I had to produce a domicile certificate. So um, as an alternative, I provided a resident. So they asked me to write a letter stating that I would be submitting the domicile certificate if I'm getting selected. So that letter I submitted to this the staff that were present. So that was attached to the DV also. So as soon as the DV was finished, we had a lunch break. So we finished our lunch and came for the interview. So I'll be straight away going to the interview question. So first thing, mostly the questions asked in the interview is from the DV itself. So we have to more refer the CV. So first thing that was asked from the CV was, I was in karate black belt. So first question they asked about me was about karate. Then the then one member in the panel asked me, if I'm not going to select you, what would be your other step? So I did not answer. They said that that's just a joke. Let's not don't get panic. Calm down yourself. So then they asked me for an intro where I introduced briefly about myself, my education background, and the place I belong to, and currently what I'm doing. Then they asked me, as I was a BCom graduate, they asked me my favorite subject. I said that economics. So 7 to 8 questions they started to ask continuously on the subject that I liked. Maybe that might not be same for everyone, but they generally asked me about my favorite subject, and I tend to said economics. So more questions were on economics. The next question, the other sir asked me, why should we hire you? So that was one question. Then I said what was my opinion. Then about my place from where I belong to, what was famous from my place, and anything important tourist sites are there. So like that the question was asked. Apart from that, IDBI is a transferable job. Are you aware of it? If you get posting in other state, would you be working here in IDBI? So that was also a question that was asked me. About my hobbies, like I mentioned 4 hobbies. One was I usually read a spiritual books. So they asked me about what is spirituality and how it is different from religious, and what books I read. I mentioned cooking. So what is the recent cooking thing that I did? They asked me about that. I also mentioned about I usually do regular exercises. So that was also asked. One more okay, one more I'm not able to recall. So usually they tend to ask about hobbies more, whatever is mentioned. So they keep asking questions based on that. Then everything was over. The last question that was asked me was, what is your weakness? Every person has a weakness. What is your weakness and how you're able to do it, or how you're able to manage it? So that was the question. I said I'm little overthinking. So I usually read the books and mm, stuff, other stuff, so that I keep mind positive and doesn't overthink, and I keep myself busy. If the idle mind itself make us think more. So like that I said. So this was my interview questions. Overall I can tell my interview was good. I cannot tell extremely good because when I asked the other candidates who was with me, everyone said it was good. So let's hope if everything goes good, it's in God's hand. I have given my best. Thank you.